Hi, my name's Veronica, and today I'm doing the Spongebob tag. This tag was created by Michelle at I Am Not a Worm, and I was also tagged by her to do this. And I am going to tag Kiana from KeyReadThat&Etc, Josie from Piandbooks, and Troy from TroiTowel. They're all really great people, and I love watching their videos and commenting with them and talking to them and stuff. If you haven't already checked them out, please do, because this tag involves SpongeBob characters, as you probably gathered already. And for every character, there's also a question that goes with it, and you have to answer that question with a book. Now, when I picked these books out, I sat in front of my red shelf, and that's how I picked them. So all of them are pretty much books that I own. Could be better answers that just aren't coming to mind because they weren't physically sitting in front of me. I have a hard time with questions like this unless I can physically see the books that I have to decide from. I can't just think about all the books I've ever read. So, anyway, we'll go ahead and get started. The first question is SpongeBob, a universally loved book. And, of course, I went with Harry Potter and the Harry Potter of the whole series by J.K. Rowling. And there's something, it's like on Tumblr and stuff, and it's got, I think where McGonagall in the first movie, she says, "But there won't be a child in this world who doesn't know his name." And then it has a picture of J.K. Rowling from an interview where she's saying that she never thought that would be true. But it is. There's pretty much not a child in this world who doesn't know the name Harry Potter. The second question, or the second character, is Patrick, and the question that goes with it is lazy writing, a book that has lazy writing. And I picked Blue Bloods by Melissa De La Cruz. The story was enjoyable. It was just, I feel like a lot of things weren't described as well as they should have been, or things were left out that should have been included, and it was just confusing at times, and I didn't really know what was going on, and I had trouble following. Question number 3 is Squidward, a character who thinks too highly of themselves. And I picked Adrian Ivanshka from the Vampire Academy and Bloodline series. Adrian is just a really arrogant guy. He's really into himself and thinks that he's like the shiz. More so in Vampire Academy. Closer to the end of Vampire Academy and more in the Bloodline series, it starts to reveal how much of a vulnerable character Adrian really is. And that's kind of a nice side to see, but regardless, he still just has an extremely arrogant personality. Number 4 asks Sandy, a character who moved far from home, and I picked Thomas from The Maze Runner by James Dashner. And Thomas is dropped off in the middle of this little community that's kept in by a maze, and I'm just going to assume that this place is not located in a convenient location. It's probably out in the middle of nowhere, and probably not anywhere near where Thomas lived before, so I'm going to assume that he traveled very far. Number 5 is Plankton, a character you love to hate, and I picked Ty from Stolen by Lucy Christopher. And Stolen, if you don't know, is a book about Ty, who kidnaps this girl in an attempt to save her from the real world. And Ty, you're supposed to hate him because obviously he's a kidnapper and you're not supposed to like kidnappers, but Lucy Christopher uses Stockholm Syndrome, which is a mental disorder where kidnapped victims start to feel loyalty or even love for the person who kidnapped them. And Lucy portrays this in her writing and makes the reader kind of experience Stockholm Syndrome. And so Ty is definitely a character that you love to hate because you're kind of hating him, but at the same time you're loving him for doing what he did. Number 6 is Gary, a wise character, a voice of reason. And I picked Carlisle Cullen from the Twilight Saga by Stephanie Meyer. I just feel like Carlisle always knows what's going down. The dude's been alive since the 1600s, and so he's been through almost everything before because history does tend to repeat itself. And so Carlisle normally is able to say, look, we've been here, this is what we did, this didn't work, this did work, let's do this. He's just a very clear voice of reason throughout the series. Number 7 is Mr. Krabs, a book that you got for really cheap. And I got The Lucky One by Nicholas Sparks from my local Goodwill for 50 cents. And I picked this one because it's the cheapest book it's one of the cheapest. I get a bunch from Goodwill for 50 cents, but this one is the one in the best condition because, I mean, all it has is this little this kind of crease at the bottom of the cover down here. And the spine is a little creased, but that's for me. So when I got it, all it had was this, which is fabulous. Number 8 is Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, a dynamic duo. And I picked Amy and Dan from the 39 Clues series. This book is from the spin-off series, Cat Hills vs. Vespers. The original one is just the 39 Clues series, but Amy and Dan are the main two characters in both of them, and they're a brother and sister duo, and they go through so many different trials, and they're both orphaned. Their mother and father are both dead, and they're out basically trying to save the world, and they have to use their wits and their physical strength and all sorts of things, and they're just really cool characters. Number 9 is Larry the Lobster, a character that's really cool and you want to be more like, and I picked Alex Rider from the Alex Rider series by Anthony Horowitz. And Alex is a teen spy. He's like 16 or something, and he's working for MI6 in London, and he goes out and does missions that are meant for adults but can't really be pulled off by adults because they're too old to go undercover, or they're too old for the undercover part, I should say. And so Alex takes it instead, and he goes and takes out people who are basically out to destroy the world, like criminal masterminds, and Alex takes them out at like age 16 or something. And it's incredible, and I wish I was that cool. Question number 10 is The Flying Dutchman, which is basically a movie adaptation that wasn't very good and you'd like to fix it. And I picked The Giver by Lois Lowry, which just came out in theaters a couple weeks ago. And I read the book right before I saw it, literally about 2 days before. And then I saw the movie, and most people I talked to were like, oh, it was so good, it was so accurate. And I'm like, because our class had to read it in 7th grade, which was like forever ago, I'm like, okay, I bet you that are saying it's accurate haven't read it since 7th grade, because that was incredibly inaccurate. Like, so much stuff in that movie, I'm like, what are you doing? What are you talking about? That did not happen that way, or that didn't even happen at all. The only things that I really liked were the ending and the guy who played the giver. That was pretty much the only things that kept me going throughout that movie. I would change it. I would definitely change it because it's possible. It wasn't bad because the story was hard to portray on screen. It would be really easy. They just didn't. The final question, number 11, is Mrs. Puff, a character with a shady past. And I picked Rafe, or I don't know how to say it, like Rafi maybe? I know it's short for Raphael, so that's why I'm saying maybe Rafi. I'm not really sure. But Raphael, basically, from Angel Fall by Susan E. He's a fallen angel, we know this, and he's got his wings cut off. But other than that, you're like, where'd you come from, bud? Because he just kind of like winds up on the street, and then he's there, and he won't tell anything about his past. He won't say why they cut his wings off. He won't say why he's kind of against the angels now. He's just there. You don't know anything. So that is all for this tag. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and as always, thank you for listening to my ramblings. I love you guys so much. I can't wait to see you in a new video. I've been missing filming so much, and I'm so excited that I'm finally getting back into it. But I will see you in my next video soon. Bye!